What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. I thought it would be fun to make a video this week about this week's Nightfall strike. So it's on the Summoning Pits. I think that the Summoning Pits is one of the hardest strikes in the game. And with Nightfall turned on, you know, all these enemies are doing extra damage, and you don't get to respawn, especially if you're soloing. I just thought it'd be fun to show you guys how I got through it. So if you want to try it solo, then this is the way to do it, or this is a way to do it, and I found this to be a very easy way to do it, comparatively. There's no easy way to do this one. I cheesed a lot of enemies in this, and I'll show you how I did that. I do want to talk about the weapons a little bit that I'm using. The primary I am using is the Shadow Price. That's available in the tower. It's a good, you know, all-around primary. I don't have a primary that does arc damage, and you really want as much arc damage in this strike as you can get, because arc damage is turned on for this week's Nightfall. So my secondary is a legendary sniper that also has arc damage, and I picked it up just for this strike. I went and I bought it just for this strike. It's available at the tower. And then my heavy weapon is the Thunderlord. I have the Thunderlord as my exotic. There's no reason you can't use any legendary heavy weapon for this strike. I really recommend using a heavy machine gun. I think it's much easier to do with a heavy machine gun as opposed to a rocket launcher. And you really want to make sure you have arc damage, and I would recommend leveling it up if you can, if you have that time. But there's no reason you need a Thunderlord. You can use any legendary heavy weapon or heavy machine gun. So this is the first room that you're going to really start to have trouble with, and luckily, respawning is not turned off yet. So if you have trouble getting into this room, you know, don't worry about it too much. You'll just respawn at the top of the stairs, but you'll see that there's actually there's two knights in here, one of them which is a boomer, so he shoots rockets at you, and there's a wizard in here that just fires like crazy. You know, the wizards are very nasty in the Nightfall, so you just want to kind of stick back at that door, and what I like to do is kind of wait till I see that boomer, you know, kill that boomer, and that's my first contact with any enemy in this room. Then I like to throw a grenade to kill the thralls. Thralls are very dangerous in the Nightfall because they're a one-shot kill. If they get close, they kill you with one shot. And once you get down to that encounter, this is where the respawning starts to get turned off. So you're going to come down these stairs, and you got to open this door. I'm sure you've done this plenty of times before in the strikes. The difference is you don't want to hang out in the middle of this room. You really want to go back to this door and use this as your home base. If you start taking damage, you're going to want to run up those stairs. And I mean run, sprint up those stairs, because the enemies in here are very, very dangerous. And you can see I've pulled out my heavy. We're going to get a wave of thralls here. And these thralls are so dangerous that I just prefer to use my heavy. And if I run out of ammo, I can always pull out, you know, some ammo synthesis, fill the thing back up. And you'll see me do that. I think I do that a couple of times when I run out of ammo. So make sure you fill up on your ammo before you head out from the tower to the Nightfall strike. So you'll see every time I take damage, I'm always retreating back to this doorway. This is basically how you're going to cheese this entire room. Every once in a while, you'll see some enemies kind of get stuck on that upper level, and you'll have to venture in a little further into the room just to get the enemies to loosen up a little bit. I really recommend anything that you have that's arc. Use it. So you'll see I'm actually using the Blade Dancer. So I got rid of the Golden Gun because I wanted those arc grenades, because they deal massive amounts of damage to any enemy in this week's Nightfall because that arc damage is turned on. So the Golden Gun got left behind. I used the Blade Dancer because he deals arc damage with his grenades. Same goes if you're using a Titan. Unfortunately, the Warlock does not do any kind of arc damage. They're either solar or void, so you're just kind of stuck there. It's going to be a little bit harder, I would think, for a Warlock. I do not have a leveled up Warlock to try it out with, though. So yeah, you know, this is the second wave here, and this is probably the easiest wave of the three. There's 3 waves total in this room. And basically, I'm just taking out these acolytes. They're pretty easy to take out. They don't get really aggressive. There are a couple of knights that spawn in this wave, but again, they're not super aggressive either. And I think there's 1 wizard, maybe 2, that spawn in this wave. The next wave is really where you're going to have to be careful, because along with a couple of knights, you're going to get 4 wizards, one of which is a named wizard, and they're very difficult to take out. And that's where you're really going to have to use a strategy of running up the stairs to escape. So you'll see here, I'm just kind of leaning back. I'm not going to get too aggressive. I want to be very, very careful. Anytime you put yourself out there and get too far away from this door, you're putting yourself at a giant risk, and you don't get to respawn right at the door. You actually have to start the mission from scratch again. And I'll be honest with you, I had to do this mission about 5 times before I had a successful run. So this combination of tactics is really what I learned over that, those multiple runs trying to solo this mission. So again, I'm just sitting back. I'll use the Thunderlord as much as possible to try and take out the damage on all of these wizards and the knights. Once I'm convinced that I'm done with the wizards and the knights, I'll switch back to my primary and just clean up the acolytes because they're not real risky. You can pretty much take them down easily. You don't have to worry about them as much as the thralls or the knights or the wizards. So, just taking it easy, just leaning back, making sure I'm not putting myself out there. And, I just don't want to die here. That's what this mission is going to be all about, just trying not to die. And once I feel like I've finished up that round, I'll go through, I'll pick up as much ammo as I can find so I don't have to use my synthesis. And here I come back. So now we're going to start with the final round, and this is going to be the 4 wizards. I think there's 2 or 3 knights, and I think there's a bunch of thralls, as well as those exploding thralls, which are also very dangerous. But what's nice about those exploding thralls is they kind of work like grenades. If you shoot them while they're close to somebody else, they will do a lot of damage to the surrounding enemies. So if you can, shoot those while they're actually standing next to somebody, but don't put yourself at risk to do it. Don't try and maneuver your way around to do that. You'll see that just that little rocket there took away half my energy. So it's a very dangerous mission. It's very difficult. So here we have, okay, so there's a couple of the exploding thralls here. But you'll start to see that these guys actually get stuck up on this upper level here. So every once in a while, I just kind of slowly make my way out near the door. And I'll jump up there, too, to see if I can shoot them. But I really want to be careful that there's no thralls that'll one-shot me, that there's no boomers up there, or there's nothing. There's basically nothing that's going to one-shot me or take me out before I can get to the door. And once you hear the wizards come out, you'll hear them shrieking. You want to really make sure that you never come out of that door again. And once we get to that point, you can actually cheese those wizards by coming halfway down those stairs, firing your primary weapon, going back up the stairs. 1 or 2 wizards may come into that hallway, and you can fire at them either with your sniper or with your heavy. My primary doesn't do arc damage, so it really was ineffective against anything bigger than an acolyte. It was really, I was just cleaning up acolytes and smaller enemies with my primary, and that's it. It was, it was heavy weapon, or sniper, and it really pays to bring extra ammo with you. So here you see a knight just kind of comes out. It should be a 2-shot kill with the sniper rifle. Again, this is just it's a standard legendary that you can buy in the tower. It's 150 marks, I believe. And, it's not even leveled up. I just bought it just to run this because I didn't have another sniper that did arc damage, and I really wanted one. Something like, a fairly well-leveled up Icebreaker was just not getting the damage done. It would take out the shields on the wizards nicely, but it was ineffective once their shields were down. It took too many shots, so... I also, I really like the Icebreaker for running regular missions because it regens its own ammo. But I find that it does it so slowly that sometimes I would just rather have a regular sniper that I can just, buy ammo for, just use the ammo packs for. When I really need ammo, I just want it. I don't want to wait for it. So this is that part where I'm just trying to get these guys to come down off of this upper level. You can see one of those exploding, I think it's the Hollowed Thrall up there, and there's a knight up there. So it's a dangerous situation. I don't want to get up there. I don't want to put myself out there so I die, but those guys, they're stuck up there. They're not coming down. It's something about their AI that's just kind of making them stick there. The other thing you want to be careful of is that at some point I'll kill enough of the enemies that are here that the wizards will spawn. And when the wizards come, they can come really quick. And you got to be super, super careful that they don't kill you. Because 4 wizards all, bombarding you with their shots will take you out in no time. Like, before you can even move. So, I'm just being really careful. I'm watching these guys up here. I'm trying to get up there so that I can actually fire either a grenade or, a heavy weapon up there. And there we go. I think that's going to do it. I'm not sure if I killed that cursed thrall or not. And let's see if the wizards come. Usually you can hear the wizards coming when they're coming. Alright, it looks like I got to go back up there again. And you'll see this hollowed thrall. They take a lot of shots, so if you get more than one of them at a time and they're not sitting right next to each other, if you get like 4 of them running at each other, just focus your fire on one of them and it'll take out the rest when it explodes. But if they're all separated, you might want to just, there's the wizards, and you'll see I just book it. I book it straight up here. Sometimes they'll even follow you in. Yep, they followed me in this time, and I'm just going to start doing damage from up here. Using the stairs to protect myself, throwing grenades, sniper rifles down there, heavy weapon down there, and I'm just going to try and take these guys out from the top of these stairs. And that's how I basically cheese these 4 wizards. These 4 wizards are very difficult to take out. So, again, what I'll do is I'll kind of go back down through that doorway. There's like a doorway there halfway through. You see that little kind of overhang. And what I'll actually do is I'll move down to that doorway, fire a few shots from my primary, and a lot of times what that'll do is it'll attract the wizards into that hallway, and then I sprint back up the stairs, and I will start firing down at them. But these guys, they move quick. You got to be very, very careful once you see them. And once you see them, frankly, you want to run up these stairs. You just want to sprint up these stairs and try not to get killed. It's all about just preserving your life in this game mode. And you'll see what happens is they actually will come in there, but they'll get stuck at that door. They just can't go through that door. That's the end of their range. And once they're in there by themselves, they're actually pretty easy to take out if you have a weapon that can do a lot of damage on them. Alright, so we're going to take out, there's that named wizard, and he's tough to kill. And you'll see, even just standing there for too long a time, I'm already down very low. And this is a level 28 character, it's not a level 30, but it's, he's pretty tough normally. So we'll just head on back down, and this is how we're going to keep going, is just, slowly, methodically trying to take out these wizards. We're trying not to get multiple wizards shooting us at the same time. And when I get damaged, I'm gonna run, because I don't want to die. That's the point of this whole Nightfall mission, is just don't die, because there's nobody here to resurrect you if you're doing it solo. You just got to restart the entire strike. All right, so you can see that guy's just wailing at the wall. And I'm gonna sneak down there and see if I can't get an angle to shoot him. There he is. And the heavy weapons with arc damage, they do a really nice job taking these guys out. I always prefer, when I buy heavy weapons, I prefer ones with a slower fire rate, more accuracy, and more impact. And of course, if they do, arc damage or void damage, depending on what you're doing, it's going to be much more useful than just a standard. I didn't even know that knight was still there. That guy surprised me. We got a few more of these exploding thralls, and I think that was it. Alright, so that's basically it for this room. This is going to be the biggest challenge of this entire Nightfall strike, is just clearing out those 4 wizards. They are very, very nasty. Even on lower difficulties, I've had a lot of trouble with those wizards. So, to be honest, the thing that you got to be careful of the most, though, in this mission are thralls. Of anything, they killed me the most while I was attempting this. Just a random thrall would run up behind you. If you're not paying attention, a one-shot kill, and then you're done. You're restarting the entire strike. So the next thing is here, the next encounter will come to I believe this is the circular room. And this one isn't too hard. It should be hard, I think, because there's an ogre over here. There's a knight over here. But really, what you want to do is just start off this engagement by hucking a grenade over there, and you'll do most of the damage that you need to do on those big guys. Then you got to watch out for these thralls. If you take them out while they're running down that hallway, they're pretty easy to take on. And then I think there's an acolyte around this corner here who's being a little bit sneaky. And I couldn't believe that I killed both the ogre and the knight with one grenade. So I was just I was a little bit in shock about that. So I was still being careful, even though there's really no reason to. I just couldn't believe I did all that damage. Usually I take away half of both of their energy and then snipe them from the doorway there that I was just hanging out in. But as you can see, they're gone. We're going to pick up our ammo, and we're going to move on to the next encounter. The next encounter, again, is pretty easy. You don't have to worry about too much here. There will be a wizard that you got to take care of, and there are a couple of thralls that will spawn. You can run through this entire encounter until you get to the 2 yellow knights. But, I like to be rather safe than sorry, like... If you get one of those thralls that follows you, again, he can one-shot kill you, and they kind of spawn late. So you'll see the wizard spawn. Sometimes a knight spawns there, too, but it's generally that wizard, and he's not as difficult as the wizards you just faced. Just take him out with your sniper rifle. Watch out for any of these acolytes here, and, we'll just slowly pick away at their health. This was actually unusual to have these acolytes kind of come up behind me. I wasn't really prepared for that. And the wizard is being a little dodgy here. But you'll see, once you get that shield down, he's pretty easy to kill. And now I'm just waiting for these thralls to spawn. So these thralls are going to spawn at the top of those stairs. There's a doorway up there that they'll spawn in. And again, you got to be really careful with thralls, because they are probably the most dangerous enemy, except for wizards, in this entire strike. And I know these guys are going to spawn, but they're not coming. There they are. And they'll just run down these stairs at you. And I think it's just the 2 of them. Other than that, you don't have to really be too careful with these acolytes. Obviously be careful with the acolytes. You don't want to just run in and start trying to melee them while there's like 5 of them standing around you, because they will kill you. But for the most part, they're not too difficult. Just headshots and move on. So the next part you actually have to be concerned about. There's a couple of knights down here. And there's a ship spawning. So you want to get to these knights as fast as possible without this ship spawning, because you don't want to get into another battle. And these knights like to hide behind these pillars. So I like to throw a grenade back here and then finish them up with the Thunderlord. They both are doing major damage. I believe they're both boomers. And they both have a lot of health. So you definitely want to take them out with as fast as possible. All right, and basically after that, you're at the summoning pit. So it's time to fight the big guy. And to fight the big guy, we're going to cheese it. Okay, so you can go out here and you can fight normally. And the tactic I would use for that is to basically take out as many of the enemies kind of around the periphery as possible before you actually start fighting Fogoth. However, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is use the room I'm in to deal my damage. Now, sometimes you'll get a Shrieker that spawns above you. If you run to the room behind you, that Shrieker will go away once you leave this room. So you'll just run out the door right there on the left. And you can actually do damage by peeking through that doorway. So what I like to do is kind of just come out here, do my damage, and then if I get into trouble, I run backward through this doorway. If you run through the 3rd doorway, so there's the first doorway that leads to Fogoth, there's a 2nd doorway, which I'm standing at now. If you run through that 3rd doorway, Fogoth gets all his health back, so you don't want to do that. You'll actually see I do that in this gameplay because the Shrieker comes. You also don't want to kill that Shrieker. You just want to get out of this room and let him kind of disappear. He will just go away. You don't have to kill him. If you do kill him, he spawns these like blue orbs that start following you all over the place, and they do quite a bit of damage. So the key is here, just be careful. You don't even have to come out of this room. You just kind of use these 2 rooms to your advantage. Be very careful with thralls, especially if you're using a sniper rifle, kind of looking at Fogoth, because those thralls will get you in a hurry. Knights will take you down very quickly too. 2 rocket shots will pretty much kill you. And this is where I make my mistake. You'll see I come all the way back out here, and that allows everything in that room to respawn. So you really don't want to come back out here. You want to use the 2nd room as your like stopping point. Even if you get like a knight or a wizard that comes into this 1st room, if you go into that 2nd room and hide behind a wall, they'll disappear. So anything in that first room will disappear as long as you're not in there. So at this point, I'm pretty convinced that I'm going to start doing as much damage to this guy as I can. I'll pull out my sniper rifle, and you can see it does nearly 5,000 damage per shot. And that is completely unupgraded. There's no upgrades to this legendary at all. I bought it for 150 points, brought it into the Nightfall, and just started wailing with it. And, you know, it's a pretty nice sniper, to be honest with you. You know, it's not as nice as some of the exotics, but for a legendary that you can just buy, it's really not too bad. Funny thing about the legendaries is that a lot of times, like the shadow price, right, is a lot of times the one you buy is nearly identical to the one you can find, but the one you can find has better perks on it. So you can actually upgrade them a little bit better. Like the stability perk, I believe, is on my shadow price, but that's not available at the one that you buy in the tower, which is too bad. So even though you can get almost a great gun, or well, you should still get, like the shadow price in particular is a great gun. All right, so here we are. And this is how we're going to choose Fogoth. So every once in a while, he's going to come to that little doorway there. And we're just going to do massive damage when he does. We're always being careful of that enemy that spawns up there. And any knights or thralls that come over here. That was an awful grenade. We're just going to take it nice and slow. And it really doesn't take that much time to kill Fogoth. What you'll see me do is make the mistake of running too far back. And Fogoth had lost probably, I don't know, a quarter of his health. I ran too far back, and I allowed him to respawn all his health. You'll see that happen. So I'll point it out when it does. But I'm just going to move back and forth, trying to be very, very careful. It's, you know, it's a very easy cheese spot, to be honest with you. Here I use some heavy weapon ammo synthesis. That makes all the difference in the world on these things, so you don't have to run out to get ammo, and you don't have to wait for ammo to respawn. So every once in a while, he'll come to this little door here, and you can literally just fire right through that little gap. In reality, you almost don't even have to worry about that Ascended Knight that just spawned there, because he will go away on his own. Every once in a while, I like to come out here and just deal a ton of damage with my heavy. It's risky, though, to be honest with you. You know, those thralls, especially if I was sniping right there. If I was sniping there and I didn't see those thralls, the whole Nightfall could be over. So you just gotta be ultra diligent about those thralls. All right, so I don't even think I was shooting at anybody there. I thought maybe that was him, but it's not. He'd be moving around more than that. When the Shrieker spawns up there, you'll get a big dot on your map, so you'll know right away when he does, and it's time to run away. All right, you can see that already I've got nearly half his health done. And I'm just playing it conservative. And that Shrieker spawn. You see he's up there now. And I actually make the mistake of killing him. And you'll see what happens there. It gets me in a lot of trouble. When in reality, I can just stay in this room and he will disappear on his own. So you see those blue orbs start flying around. They are heat-seeking and they come at you. And I come too far back to avoid them. And you'll see that Fogoth, when I go back, has all his health back. It looks like he just spawns brand new. Alright, so he's gone. But I've got a new problem. And you can see that here. Fogoth spawns brand new, and he's got full health. So that's a big mistake that I made here. You really want to avoid going too far back. As long as you stay in this second room back, you're fine. Don't go in that third room, though, because Fogoth will spawn all his health back. Luckily, it does not take too long to kill Fogoth once you have the right weapons in the Nightfall Strike. Arc damage is very, very powerful, and you'll see that he basically just melts. Between my sniper rifle and my heavy weapon, you know, he does not really make much of a challenge here. All right, so that Shrieker spawned back in. All I have to do here is wait, and he will disappear. Same with that wizard. I could have just waited behind that wall, and he would disappear. There you go. See, as long as you're not in the room with him, he disappears on his own. She's using a little... Oh, I didn't have enough. The problem with that cooldown time is it just takes forever, and I believe it transfers over. So, like, you can't use special weapon ammo if you're still in your cooldown for your heavy weapon ammo. So, you got to be careful with that ammo weapon synthesis. You really have to use it kind of, you know, as early as you can. so that you have it available when you need it most. Alright, looks like he's like a 3/4 health. And at some point in this video, I will actually just start sniping him through here. He'll come right over to this door, and I can just snipe him for massive damage right through that doorway. I don't even have to come out to this first room. That first room is still risky. Again, like Shriekers could come while I'm sniping, anything like that, and you know, it's just a one-shot kill. So he loves shooting through that door. You just come back here, get my health back, and start doing massive damage again. Always be kind of keeping your eye on that map, because if that Shrieker spawns above you, you know, that's a big problem. I think I switched to my Icebreaker here just because it's got regenerating ammo. I was out of ammo. I couldn't use ammo synthesis anymore because I was still on my cooldown time. So I just switched over to my Sunbreaker here because it regenerates ammo, and I start nailing them again. You know, alternatively, I could have just waited for my cooldown to end and continued using my arc damage, which did a lot more damage. You know, it's just, you know, whatever works for you. The Icebreaker's, you know, it's a really fun weapon to use. It was available as an exotic weapon from Xur last week, and a lot of people have gotten it from, you know, just random number generated drops. So here we go. Just again, being really very careful. Keeping my eye on that radar for that Shrieker to come back. And he just came back, so I'll just wait behind this window. If I can, I'll snipe right through here. He is kind of dancing over there. You see a wizard just spawn. But I can just wait back here, and he'll disappear on his own. You really, you know, you don't have to fight those guys in that room. Frankly, it's risky to do it, because if they start dealing you damage and you have to go all the way back to the third room to avoid that damage, then Fogoth respawns with, you know, brand new health, and all your work has been for naught. So I think at some point I get sick of waiting for this thing to go, and I just start firing at him with my primary. You know, we got a couple of spawns in that first room. I'm just waiting for those to go away. There we go. And I'll just start firing at this guy again. Another nice thing is if you wait for your Icebreaker to fill up ammo and then switch over to another weapon, it will spawn. It will come back with full ammo, which is great. It's like a, you know, it's an ammo generator too. You don't even have to be using the Icebreaker as a weapon if you don't want to. All right, so basically at this point, Fogoth starts just hanging out at that doorway there, and I'm basically using every weapon I've got to shoot through that doorway, and that's what's going to kill him. If you get this earlier, consider yourself lucky. You know, eventually he'll come over here, and he just seems to stay here for the rest of the battle once he gets to this spot. Because he can see you, but he can't shoot you through that angle. But you can shoot him because your weapons are so much more precise. See, even my Shadow Price can get shots through there. Not super reliably, but, you know, enough that I feel like I'm doing damage while I'm waiting for the Sunbreaker to regenerate ammo. Or the Icebreaker, sorry. And we're just going to pop them off, pop them off, pop them off. And this is basically how I'm going to beat the rest of this strike. I'm not going to confront any of the enemies out in that main area. It's far too dangerous. I'm just going to lean back and make sure that I stay alive. That is the whole point to running this Nightfall. It was the same point to running at the Devil's Lair last week, is I just wanted to stay alive. You know, and I didn't worry about taking enemies out as quickly as possible. It was all for me just about staying alive, making sure that you don't have to restart the whole thing over again. There you can see Fogoth has died. I am very excited. Like I said, I had tried this 4 or 5 times before, and it was usually Thralls that killed me. To be honest with you, Thralls were the thing that kept getting me. You know, I was so concerned about killing wizards and knights and Fogoth, and then this random Thrall will just come and smack me. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's not easy, but this is the easiest way that I found to do it this week. Hopefully it's successful for you. Let me know down in the comments how it works, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.